The dining table glowed under a warm light, and the aroma of jollof rice and pepper chicken filled the room. Gozier had invited his friend Chuka over with his wife and their baby. It was supposed to be a friendly evening, a distraction from the unspoken heaviness that often hung in their house. Chuka's wife, Amara, sat with the baby nestled in her arms, rocking gently as she laughed at something her husband had said. The baby cooed softly, drawing smiles from everyone except Murnatu, who had kept her eyes on her plate, willing herself not to feel the sting. Mama was seated proudly at the head of the table, radiant in her wrapper. Her eyes never left the baby. She leaned forward, her voice laced with admiration. "Ah, see how healthy and fine this child is, Amara. You're truly a woman. Chuka, you chose well." Amara smiled politely. "Thank you, Mama." The words sliced through Murnatu, but she swallowed hard, forcing a smile as she spooned more rice onto her plate. Mama then turned, her eyes darting quickly to Murnatu before resting back on the baby. "Children are the true crown of marriage. Without them, what's the point?" She shook her head slowly as if pondering life's mysteries. Gozier shifted uncomfortably in his seat. His eyes flicked to Murnatu, silently begging her to keep calm, of which she understood. She always did, and for years, Murnatu had endured these jabs, carrying the blame in silence. Mama leaned closer to Amara again, ignoring Murnatu completely. "Amara, my daughter, how many months is the baby now?" "6 months, Mama," Amara answered softly, bouncing the child gently. "Wonderful," Mama said in a wide smile. "Chuka, you are truly blessed. In less than 3 years of marriage, see what the Lord has done. 2 children already. Meanwhile, some people will be sitting here in their husband's house eating food, taking up space. Yet, nothing to show for it." Murnatu's hands froze around her spoon. Her chest tightened and the heat flooded her face. Gozier gave her a look. Pleading again, she inhaled deeply, willing herself to stay calm. But Mama wasn't finished. Her voice grew sharper. "In fact, sometimes I wonder if it is not something darker. How can a young woman enter a family and lock up the womb of the house? Maybe there is more than meets the eyes." The table went quiet. Even Chuka and his wife exchanged uneasy glances. At that moment, Murnatu dropped her spoon with a loud clatter. The sound echoed in the silence. Her voice trembled as she stood, but her words came out clear and sharp. "Mama, that's enough. You have shamed me for years, but not tonight, not in front of guests." Mama blinked, startled. "What did you say to me?" Murnatu's chest rose and fell. Her tears burned but did not fall. "You call me barren. You call me a witch. But let everyone at this table hear the truth today. I am not barren. I have gone to doctors. I have done every test. Nothing is wrong with me. The problem is not me. The problem is your son." The words struck like thunder. Gozier's head dropped, shame flooding his face. Chuka and Amara froze. Both stunned, Mama's eyes went wide, her hands pressed against her chest as if the air had been stolen from the room. Murnatu's voice broke now, but she pushed on. "I have carried the shame alone because I wanted to protect him. I allowed you to insult me, to crush me, while he sat in silence, but no more. If you want to talk about truth, then let us talk about the real truth." The baby whimpered softly in Amara's arms. No one moved. The room was heavy with silence, broken only by Murnatu's raged breathing. Finally, she sank back into her chair, her hands trembling. The storm had come. The secret was out, and nothing would ever be the same again. The silence was suffocating. No one seemed to know what to do with Murnatu's words that still hung heavy in the air. Amara shifted awkwardly in her seat, rocking the baby who had begun fuzzing. Chuka cleared his throat and forced a weak smile. Maybe we should be going. It's getting late. Gozie lifted his head, his eyes avoiding everyone's shame etched deeply into his features. He managed a stiff nod. Yes, thank you for coming. Chuka stood quickly, helping his wife gather their things. They both muttered hurried goodbyes, avoiding eye contact with Murnatu and Mama as they slipped out, leaving behind an uneasy void. Mama was the first to break the silence. She shot up from her chair, her wrapper rustling as her voice thundered. Lies! All lies! My son, never! It is you, the strange woman who has brought shame to my family. Monatu's chest heaved, but her voice remained steady. Mama, I am tired. The doctors have spoken. Gozie knows the truth, and if you refuse to believe me, that is your choice, but I will not carry this burden for both of us anymore. Gozie flinched at Murnatu's words. His lips parted, but no sound came. For years, he had been hidden behind her silence, grateful she bore the weight of his shame. Now that it was in the open, he felt naked, stripped of the image of strength he had carefully built. Mama, Murnatu continued, tears sliding down her cheeks now. I have loved your son. I have prayed. I have hoped. I have endured your insults. But enough is enough. You will not spit on me again while I keep quiet. Mama's hands shook as she pointed at Murnatu. You will not talk to me like that in my son's house. Murnatu rose slowly from her chair. Then, maybe I should not be in this house at all. The words cut through the air like a blade. Gozie finally stood, his voice hoarse. Murnatu turned to him, her pain blazing in her eyes. If you want me to keep fighting for this marriage, then you must fight too. Not with silence, not with secrets, but with truth, because I cannot do this alone anymore. His throat tightened. He thought of the weight Murnatu had carried, the years she had sacrificed, the insults she had swallowed just to protect him. His heart clenched with guilt. Mama hissed, clapping her hands together. So you want to destroy my son's name? You want to disgrace this family with your wicked tongue? Gozie turned to his mother. His voice was quiet but firm. Mama, stop! She blinked, stunned. What did you say? He took a deep breath. Stop, Murnatu is telling the truth. The room went still. Mama staggered back into her chair as though she had been slapped. It is me, Gozie admitted, with his voice breaking. The doctors confirmed it years ago. I am the one who cannot father children, not Murnatu. The confession rang through the house. Mama's mouth opened and closed, but no words came. Murnatu closed her eyes, the tears flowing freely now. Part of her ached that it had become like this, but another part, the deeper part, finally felt release. The chains of silence had been broken. Mama sat frozen, staring at her son. The truth unraveling, every defense she had built, her face underwent a terrifying transformation. The righteous anger drained away, leaving behind a pale, waxy confusion. Her eyes, so full of fire moments before, now darted between Gozie and Murnatu, searching for a denial, a lie, anything to refute this blasphemy against her bloodline. Murnatu's anger, so hot and righteous just seconds ago, cooled into a pang of profound sorrow. She had not wanted to break him like this. She had only wanted to stop the breaking of herself. She watched her husband, the man she loved, shrink under the weight of a truth he had been too afraid to bear alone. Mama saw Murnatu's tear. Her world, built on an unshakable foundation of her son's perfection, crumbled. The fight left her body, as she slowly lowered herself back onto the sofa, with her hand absently tracing the patterns of the armrest. For how long? Mama asked. It was Murnatu who answered, her own voice softer now. 2 years, Mama. We have known for 2 years. And you did not tell your mother, your own flesh and blood. This was directed at Gosier, not with anger, but with a deep, bewildered heart. Gosier turned to his mother. And tell you what, Mama, that your only son is less than a man, that I cannot give you the grandchildren you pray for, that the Nwachukwu's name ends with me. The words were laced with a bitterness he had never heard from him before. It was the poison of a secret kept for too long. Less than a man, Murnatu interjected, unable to bear Gosie's self-gloating. My husband. Look at me. You are my husband. You are a provider, a protector, a good man. This is a medical condition, not a curse on your character. It is a problem with sperm count, not your soul. Murnatu had never spoken the word so plainly in front of him. The clinical term, sperm count, seemed to jolt both him and his mother into the modern reality, away from the superstitions of witches and curses. Mama looked at Murnatu, truly looked at her for the first time that evening. She saw not a defiant witch, but a woman who had shouldered a burden that was not hers to carry alone. She saw the pain she had just added to her with accusations. You have known for 2 years, Mama repeated, mostly to herself, and you let me. I called you. She couldn't finish. Shame washed over her features. She had come to wage war and had instead walked into an ambush of a truth that left her weaponless and guilty. That night, the three of them sat in the heavy quiet for what felt like an eternity. The distant sound of generators and traffic filled the space where accusations used to live. It was Mama who moved first. She stood up, her movements slow and wary. She went to the kitchen, got a bowl of rice, and dished for herself, Gosier and Murnatu, since they had barely eaten. We will eat, she announced, her tone leaving no room for argument. It wasn't the command of a matriarch, but the plea of a mother trying to find her way back to a solid ground. We are family, and families eat together, especially when the words have been too bitter to swallow. It was a peace offering, a ritual of communion. Hesitantly, Murnatu took a plate. Gosier, after a long moment, did the same. Mama served them all, her hands trembling slightly. They all ate in silence, the delicious, familiar taste in contrast to the uncomfortable scene. It was an act of truce. And when the meal was finished, Mama gathered the plates. I will go now, she said softly. She went into her room, packed her bags, and sighed as she did so. Gosier and Murnatu just sat at the dining table without saying a word. She stopped by the door and turned to Murnatu. Murnatu, my daughter, I was wrong. My words were spoken from a place of ignorance and pain. I ask for your forgiveness. Murnatu's heart thawed. She simply nodded. It is forgiven, Mama. Then Mama looked at her son. Gosier, you will come and see me tomorrow. We will talk. No more hiding. It was a request. And after she left, the apartment felt both emptier and fuller. The toxic cloud of misunderstanding had lifted, but the landscape it revealed was scarred and unfamiliar. Gosier finally looked at Murnatu, his eyes red-rimmed and full of a vulnerable fear she had never seen. You must hate me, he whispered. Murnatu moved to sit beside him, taking his large hands into her smaller ones. I have never hated you, Gozie. I was lonely. I was hurt. You left me to fight this battle by myself. You let me take the blame even if you never said the words. Your silence accused me more than your mother ever could. I was ashamed, he confessed, the words pouring out loud like a ruptured dam. Every time we went to the clinic, every test, every disappointed look from the doctor, it felt like a judgment. I am a man. How could I be the cause? I thought if I ignored it, it would just go away, or maybe the doctors were wrong. And when your mother accused me, it was easier to let her believe that than to admit the truth. It was cowardly. I'm so sorry. Murnatu, I'm so sorry. For the first time in a long time, they talked. Really talked. They spoke of the pain of every negative pregnancy test, the envy of seeing friends with their newborns, the slow erosion of their intimacy, which has started to feel like a clinical chore rather than an act of love. The next day, Gozie went to see his mother. Murnatu did not know what was said, but when he returned, he seemed lighter, as if a physical weight had been lifted from his shoulders. A week later, Murnatu came back to their apartment. She brought a small worn Bible and a determined look on her face. Sit, she instructed them. They obeyed. I have done wrong by both of you, she began. I spoke without knowledge and caused pain. But now we have knowledge, so now we make a plan. Gozie and Murnatu glanced at each other, surprised. This is not the end of your story, Mama continued, her voice firm with a new kind of strength. My friend Mrs. Okoro, her daughter, and her husband also had this problem. They now have twin boys. They went to see a special doctor at Ikeja. We will go and see him. And just like that, Mama went from being their chief accuser to their chief advocate. She has spent the week on the phone researching, asking questions, refusing to be shackled by the stigma any longer. Her love for her son had transformed from a blind possessive force into a proactive supportive one. The following month, the three of them went to the fertility specialist in Ikeja. It was a surreal experience for Murnatu, sitting in the waiting room with Gozie on one side and his mother on the other, holding her hand. The doctor was kind and straightforward. He explained the options: IVF, IUI, sperm donors, and adoption. He talked about success rates and costs. He treated Gozie's condition as exactly what it was, a medical diagnosis, not a spiritual failure. And in the car ride home, Mama was the first to speak. The IVF is expensive, but not impossible. Your father and I have savings. We will help. Mama, we can't take your money, Gozie protested. Is it my money or my grandchildren's future? She retorted. This is not a loan, it is an investment. The journey was not easy. There were injections from Murnatu, moments of anxiety, and 2 heartbreaking failed cycles. But through it all, they were no longer a fractured unit. Gozie attended every appointment. He learned to administer the injections. He was present emotionally and physically. Mama became their rock. She prayed with them, cooked nutritious meals for Murnatu, and fiercely defended their privacy from any extended family members who dared to ask prying questions. Their marriage, which had been crumbling under the weight of the secret, began to rebuild on a foundation of brutal honesty and shared vulnerability. They remembered why they had fallen in love in the first place. And a year after Mama's fateful visit, Murnatu finally saw 2 bold lines on a pregnancy test. This time, when Gozie held her as she cried, they were tears of joy. 9 months later, Murnatu gave birth to a healthy baby girl. They named her Chizara, meaning God answered. The name perfectly captured their journey, as their daughter was truly the answer to years of prayers and unspoken pain. In the hospital room, Mama cradled her granddaughter for the first time, tears streaming freely down her face. She looked at Murnatu, who was resting against the pillows, exhausted and radiant. "Thank you, my daughter," Mama said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you for your strength. Thank you for telling the truth when I was too blind to see it." Murnatu smiled, a genuine peaceful smile. "Thank you for listening, Mama." Gozie sat on the edge of the bed, one hand holding his wife's and the other gently touching his daughter's head. He was no longer the shamed, silent man from the sofa. He was a husband, a father, whole. The problem had not defined them. Their journey to solve it had. They had learned that a family is not just built on blood, but on truth, forgiveness, and the unwavering choice to face the storm together, even when the storm comes from within. What do you think of this story? Share your thoughts in the comments, like, and don't forget to follow and subscribe for more stories like this.